Hey guys, welcome back to Football Ninja. My name is Amit. With me is Karthik. So Karthik, what we are gonna talk about today?
So hey guys, this is Karthik. So we'll look at the table after game week 38. So that's the end of the season. We'll look at who finished in the top four. Unfortunately, got relegated, and we'll also look at who will be playing in the Champions League, possible contenders for Champions League, possible contenders for Europa League next season who will be going through, and then we'll also be looking at teams that have promoted till now and teams who might qualify after the playoffs. And then we'll sort of end it with a couple of things from La Liga. So, Amit, let's look at the table.
Yeah, Karthik, I think before anything, let's talk about how amazing was the goal from Lingard today. That
That's the
propelled
highlight of the
Manchester
day.
United to third. How was that?
No, I think that's a I don't know, but is that a good farewell for Lingard?
Yeah,
There have
maybe
been
that's what
rumors,
I. So
maybe.
probably
But
that.
then, but then that's a good way to leave if he is fired up United into the top four and to the Champions League. And then what about the first goal? Penalty for you? I think it was
It
a
was a
penalty.
penalty. Yeah, it was a very clear penalty. Even if it was not from Evans, it was from Morgan. So it was very clear. But then, yeah, I think Martial pushed really well today. I think Martial played really well. If you see, was trying to give passes, unlike him, was trying to create space for other people apart from himself. And now I've also understood that why, there's a very weird, round robin happening in Manchester United who takes penalty. So now I've realized that Marshall doesn't want Rashford to take penalty and vice versa because they're level pegging in the number of goals that they have scored this year. So Bruno Fernandes is no obvious choice.
And then I think he takes good penalties. I think he has a 100% record till now.
Yeah, till now, yes, correct.
So I think that makes sense. Let's talk about Chelsea and Wolves. So
Hey, it was an easy game, Karthik. I think you guys were 2-0 up in the first half. Did you feel scared in the second
it
half?
was not in the second half. I think they did not had any clear chances. First half, both teams were playing pretty safe because Wolves was also trying to get into the qualification for Europa League for next season, and then Chelsea, of course, for the top four. So both of them were playing safe in the first half. Amazing free kick from Mason Mount to give the lead, and then Giroud, a good striker's goal. So and then second half, I think it was pretty fast. Both teams were attacking. Chelsea trying to get in front, get a third one, and Wolves tried to attack, but I think they did not get any clear chances. So it was a good game overall. Happy both our teams have qualified for Champions League, and
Yeah, I think now I think it was a very good weekend for football as well, where till the last game of Premier League things were undecided both on the top and at the bottom as well.
yeah.
So looking at that, it was a very exciting season. Regardlessly of the scare of COVID, it turned out to be a very good, interesting. It was not a boring season.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I mean, I'm sure everybody missed football for 3 odd months.
Correct.
But
And then you got like the overdose of it. कि ये भी रख लो, ये भी रख लो, हफ्ते में
Some
3 दिन ये
limits.
भी रख लो. So it was amazing that
good.
way.
Yeah. And I think Aston Villa, I think everybody wrote them off.
yeah.
Everybody thought they're gonna get relegated along with Norwich. And then there was a debate between Bournemouth and Watford, you know. But I think they did well, especially after the lockdown. They had a couple of draws, and other teams dropped points, especially Watford. They
Yeah,
dropped a lot
correct.
of
I think
points.
they took good advantage of Watford losing points, especially Watford. I think I still feel that it was stupid to fire the manager at that given point of time where they had just 2 games to go. They could have just continued with him and then just probably he would have managed the team well for the 2 important games. But Aston Villa took really good advantage of that. And that also probably makes Grealish an expensive player to buy from Aston Villa.
Yeah, of course. I mean, let's see if he leaves. I think he will. He made his intention sort of pretty clear in his interview after the last match that when players start saying that when they are asked about transfer and they say my only aim right now is to keep Aston Villa in the league, we can think about other things later. So that means he's sort of on the brink of going to league. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what the top four looks like. Who's got promoted for Champions League? Then, I mean, we've spoken about that, but then who may still qualify? So we know Liverpool, City, United and Chelsea have already qualified. Wolves may qualify through Europa League if they go on and win.
If they go and win it, yeah.
Yeah. And then for Europa League, there's Leicester, who will be definitely playing Tottenham. They have to qualify for Europa League. They're the Europa League qualifiers. And Wolves may still qualify through if Chelsea beats Arsenal in the FA Cup final.
In the FA Cup, yeah.
So
it's a very interesting thing again, right? So and also if you look at qualification, I think both Man U and Chelsea had an option of winning, even if they were not qualified by default of coming in top four. Champions League and Europa League was an option for both teams.
I think it was an option for United. For Chelsea, it wasn't.
I still say it's an option. I'm not saying they're gonna go and win it. I'm saying as an option there was there. But then, end of the day, this is probably the best case scenario for both the teams. Where now, if they go to transfer market, they don't have to show the players who they want to buy that we might qualify for Champions League next season. And Arsenal, I have no clue. Like, Arsenal plays good sometimes, but then they have to fix a lot of defensive leaks, right?
I mean, lately they have been playing well. I mean, with the exception of the Manchester City match, I think they have been playing well with the top teams.
No, even Karthik, if you see the Liverpool match as well, right? The kind of mistakes that Lewis made, couple of mistakes with Salah, he just missed scoring option there. So that happened. Like he was just lucky. So this won't happen every time. And see, if we are able to figure this out, so will Arteta. As an Arsenal fan, you are happy seeing Lewis there, and as a football fan, you would not want a defender who leaks goals or is always a red card ready or yellow card ready like that. But then if they can sort that out, they are a very good team. We have always discussed about how amazing their attack is and probably one of the best in Premier League. They have a really good attacking side, but unfortunately that doesn't keep up with their defensive side.
What about promotions from the Championship? Leeds United, one of the fiercest rivals for Manchester United. They have been.
I don't think so anybody missed them though, right? I don't think so. We missed them. Nobody missed them. Things were happy without Leeds.
Rashford did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, the weirdest part is, why did he delete the? Like, see, everybody has a right to express themselves. After 16 years, I don't know. He shouldn't have deleted this.
I mean, it's not wrong. If in my opinion, I think it's okay to tweet for a team who has just got promoted, congratulating him. There is nothing wrong. But I think there are fans who take this rivalry or take this thing too seriously, which is okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong in that. And then they sort of backlashed at him, how can you do that, and blah blah blah.
So, Karthik, see, if you go back mathematically, Leeds were in a Premier League 16 years back, right? How old is Rashford?
He's 23, 24.
23, right? So probably when he was 4 years old or 5 years old, Leeds were playing, which he will obviously have no recollection of. And him growing up, never seeing Leeds play in Premier League.
Yeah.
I don't think so. People don't understand how formidable, how amazing Leeds were at their time and what sort of competition and rivals they were to Manchester United. So.
And then West Brom, we have seen it a lot during our time when we were growing up watching football. We've seen a lot of West Brom playing in the league. They got relegated 2 years back. So they are coming back. That's a good thing. And then Brentford, coming after almost 70 years. They last played in 1946. If they qualify, so they are in the playoffs along with Fulham, Cardiff and Swansea. So if they qualify almost after 65 odd years, which would be, I don't know, if they still have fans who probably some kids who used to watch them and now old 80-year-old, 90-year-old guys who are seeing them, their dream come
But
true. But I think,
that's not confirmed yet, right? So they're still part of playoffs. So
yeah.
you never know. These teams might come, might not come. It's just so we have seen probably the best footage of football that has come out is Leicester vs Watford, the game where Leicester was about to got a penalty and Watford scored one.
And Deeney scored, yeah.
Yeah. So
think
those
that's-
kind of like the best footage quality you would only see in Championship.
But what do you think? How will they fare in the Premier League? What's your opinion? Because what Sheffield United did, it's a very
Yeah,
very
that's
difficult
what-
thing. That's
I was
a
about to say
one-off, right? Or what Wolves are doing for the past 2-3 years after they qualified. Although there was a shitload of money that was poured in, they got a lot of players. So now they are a team which would easily finish in the top 10, right? We can easily say that. But do you think Leeds or West
I
Brom?
think Leeds has the kind of preparation Leeds have done to get qualified for Premier League, the kind of players they have right now, their manager also in high demand right now. We will definitely come back to that on this show again. They are in a really good position to be something like a Sheffield United. I'm not sure with the quality of the players that they have that they can finish top four. How they are performing or Wolves performing right now. They are a really good team, and then they have figured out the players that they want. They have a different strategy. The manager has a really good strategy, and all the players are clicking now. So now obviously they'll have more money coming in. They are still trying to buy a lot of good players to. So and also now that they have qualified for Premier League.
It's easy to get players.
Yeah, correct. So
It's also easy to
on
get.
and whole, it would be a very good, I think, a sight to see now. Leeds United coming back after 16 years and.
Yep. So let's move on. Let's talk about La Liga a bit, and we're going to talk about Madrid first. So they haven't done a lot in the transfer market yet. There are not a lot of rumors, and that is also because of the pandemic that happened. So they're not going to spend a lot of money. But there have been some rumors. Eduardo Camavinga from Rennes, 17-year-old kid, made 36 odd appearances for the team, which is not an easy thing at that age. He's valued at 70 million.
But then, is that valuation genuine? Is the question.
See, I mean, if you look at transfer
Is it
market,
a
it says
buyout clause or how is it?
I think what happens now is if any player plays well, if it's like a breakout season for him, teams just put at least a 50 million value on him, regardless of his age. And I'm talking about the minimum limit. 50 million is the minimum thing, and then you slap that price, and if anybody wants to buy him, and then usually what happens now, these bigger clubs also have the financial power to pay. I'm not talking about the current situation, but in general, right? So they have the financial power to pay such an amount. They buy it. If it doesn't click, they just sell it. What's happening with Luka Jovic? Madrid got him for approximately 50 million last year. Did not click. Now they want to sell him. So 50 million. I mean, it's a big amount, right? Probably not for a club like Real Madrid. So
It's a big amount to gamble on a player. You don't know how the player is, how will he perform. And a 17-year-old, 70 million is a huge amount. So he's just 17. He's not tested yet, right? So
and he's playing in the French league. So
so Farmers League.
Farmers League. Yeah. And then to replicate a similar thing what the guy standing next to him did, Mbappe, at a similar age, he was 17, 18 when he broke out. And then he's constantly doing it. I mean, although in that league, I mean, he's also done it on the international stage, right? For the French national team, he's played well. 200 million for him. Maybe Madrid will go for him next season. He's constantly done it well in the league, although it's the Farmers League, but he's proved himself on the international stage as well, right? He's done well for the French national team. So you cannot just say, oh, he's not proven, or things like that. So probably.
But do you think that it's easier for a striker to perform and so because you can always show how many goals you have scored for your team, but as a centre back or as a defender or defense line, it's difficult for you to show off your talent and something like that?
It is, yeah, I'm sure it's easy for a striker, but look at Van Dijk. He did it in one season. He won numerous awards. He was uh, nominated for the Ballon d'Or just for one season, right? And it is a big thing for a defender to. You never know, right? I mean, he did well. It's not like he did not. He played really well. He had the. I think he was the best Liverpool player on the pitch.
Correct.
Almost
That's
every
correct
game.
too.
So
Yeah, correct.
I think he did well, and then Ronaldo did not particularly do really well that season. He was average from his benchmark that he usually crosses.
I'm not going against that. I'm not like I don't disagree with you. But all I'm saying is that it's always difficult for a defender to, because you don't have goals in front of you. So that stats never shows up as much as for a striker.
So, and there are a bunch of people moving out of Real Madrid, right? And the first guy I want to talk about is Bale. His agent just said he's not going anywhere. So, do you think he loves sitting on the bench, sleeping on the bench, playing golf?
No, but then isn't he getting? So I see that's the problem, right? If you see as a player, you're obviously not getting what you want to get get more game time, and Bale always obviously has good options to come back in Premier League, to go there and play as much as possible. But then I don't think so. Now he can come back to Premier League though. He won't be able to see the kind of fitness you require to play 3 different trophies. Because Bale won't come back and join some small club. He's definitely gonna join some top 4, top 5 club where you're playing at least just domestic 3 cups, and there will be obviously European clubs around. So you might be playing in Champions League. So that kind of fitness, I don't think so Bale would be able to come and match.
I think the other thing also is his wage bill, which would be sky high, and a lot of teams won't be able to afford it. So either he takes a pay cut or he just runs down his contract. And then
no, that's what I'm thinking. So it's either two, right? Either he comes to a top tier team where the team, and obviously he's expensive, he's not cheap. So the team knows that they're paying that much money for somebody who won't be available for all the games because of his age and his fitness, and they are okay with that. Or he takes a pay cut and then come. That's only if he wants to play. Otherwise, if he doesn't want to play, he can just sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Barcelona too would be looking, this transfer window will be very important for them, looking at how bad their season has gone.
And of course, they would want to have a replacement this year probably for Luis Suarez. He's already 34, so they definitely wanted. Probably Suarez will definitely play for another season, but I don't think a season after that is likely for him. And then we all know Messi again, 33. Although he'll definitely play for another 2-3 years. Not saying particularly Barcelona, but he could be anywhere. But so they definitely need some replacements. Not sure if they'll spend this window. I think the main priority right now for them is a manager. So I don't think anybody is happy with the current manager, Setien, and they are looking at Xavi. Unfortunately, he tested positive for COVID today.
Correct.
And they're also looking at Leeds United's Marco Bielsa.
But how genuine? So I think Messi spoke about him, or there was a report that Messi said something like that. But then how I don't know. So how genuine is that report?
I think they're just making the Argentine connection.
Yeah, that's
Bielsa
and he's also been in La Liga, right? So that also is a connection.
There's also one more person that I want to talk about. We don't have him here, but Unai Emery is the new manager for Villarreal. That's gonna be interesting. And I think, as we were talking earlier in the day, that the standard for La Liga, especially some of the smaller teams, teams like Villarreal, teams like that, have been doing better than they have done in the previous season. And that is also sort of putting the pressure on Madrid, on Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. So they have to also perform at their top to be there, which they have been dominating for the past 3 decades. I honestly, I did not understand when he came to Arsenal. I know he was trying to play how he likes to play. And he used the same thing in PSG as well, which sort of worked. Also because of the team and also because of the opponent, which nobody could challenge PSG, and they had an amazing team. And it's difficult to replicate that in Premier League, right? And
Anywhere, right? Anywhere for that matter.
anywhere
If you
for that
have-
matter. So,
So,
so I think he was trying to build a team, and then he had a fallout with a couple of players, Saka, Ozil, a couple of players, and then there was a tension in the dressing room. So I don't know how does he do in Villarreal.
I think it will be a very interesting challenge for him as well. To take a team which is at that level and with the kind of players will be at offer for him there. I think it will be very so probably we'll be able to see how good of a manager he is.
Although Villarreal has an ex-Arsenal player, Santi Cazorla,
Oh,
and he had an
Amazing.
amazing
He's
season.
nice.
He's 35. He had an amazing season. All right, I think that the next thing is Premier League's coming back in September, not too far away. 12th of September is when it's starting. We'll have Champions League between that, so I think we won't have any break. So Champions League finishes.
It's going to be back to back to back to back. Just like that.
And it's gonna be fun, right? It's gonna be fun. It's good that we don't have that break. I mean, we've already crossed that break, 3 months with no football, so it's good.
I think it's a very interesting time of football as well. So the next season is almost here, and the top 4 teams have a lot of things to look ahead. Now that the season is closed, then there are teams which still have to qualify for Premier League. We have to see that as well, and then also how does this impact the top 4 teams just getting qualified to Champions League, and as you know that a lot of money was at risk for both the clubs, Chelsea and Manchester United, by qualifying. They have made sure that they secured that amount of money from their sponsors.
That's a good 70-80 million, which I mean they can spend. So how does it look for you next season, Amit, in terms of United buying in players?
I think it looks really nice, especially for the manager as well, because a lot of doubts were there, and when in the middle of the season, there were a lot of draws which were not supposed to happen, a lot of leaks in the defensive side. There was no creative, attacking side. We really had good strikers, and because of Pogba not being around and not creating those chances that he always creates, there was always this space, a gap, where nobody was able to bridge. And then
So, question for you there, because you got brought up Pogba. So, recent reports have said that he's not performing the way he used to. He's cost you 2 games, the last 2 games,
absolutely.
right? Because of his mistakes or whatever you want to call them. He has not had any inspirational performances this season.
yeah, correct.
So, do you think
No,
he
but then,
still holds his place in the team, or do you think somebody like McTominay, who was playing really, really well before Bruno Fernandes came in and then took his sort of place?
I think so. There is one thing that I don't think so anybody can disagree, that Pogba is a really good player. So it's just that he is not able to get his mojo back, and that's because he had an injury. There was obviously there was a break of COVID, and now that now I feel that there is this team has some sort of creative juices running when it comes to attacking and creating chances because of Bruno coming in. So initially it was just Pogba and nobody else, right? If you see pre Bruno Fernandes, there was no other person who could create a chance, because, and then again Pogba didn't even have a proper season this time. He was injured. I think the last time he scored a goal was almost a year back. Before this goal he scored.
May 2019.
Yeah. So if you see all that, right? So it kind of affects the player as well. But if you see player to player, right? I think Pogba is one of the best midfielders we have right now in Manchester United. And also if he plays as his standards, he might be one of the best players in the world, which he kind of showcased in World Cup as well, right? So if you just by ignoring the season because of injuries and all that, and also seeing that the positives that we have right now is Bruno coming in and a lot of things. See, also if you see the past 1 month where a lot of football has happened, we have still not figured, or there might be definitely reports about how it is physically affected all the players, because they've just been playing back to back, and there is a fatigue that comes in. I think Pogba is one of the best midfielders we have right now, better than anybody you can name in the squad of Manchester United. So he doesn't get replaced, that's sure. But then now, see, if you just go on the reports, there are reports on both the sides, right? There are reports on he's happy now. So there are reports on he's about to leave tomorrow, 10 p.m. He's leaving. So there are reports like that also. So I see something until unless it comes officially, I really don't believe now, especially when it comes to Manchester United, because there are links and connections to everything that happens. So I really don't believe in that now. Looking forward for Manchester United, it will be a really good a team contribution if Pogba, Bruno, Martial, Rashford and Greenwood now kind of connect how they are doing. It's just that I think they need some rest. If you play back to back and our manager created a history by playing the same side for more than 5-6 games, that happened. And in the problem with that record is that it is happening in a time where there are no breaks. So that also shows that he doesn't trust the substitutes, that he doesn't trust the bench. So that means that we need to get a lot of players in, and good that we got qualified. How good was the season for Lampard?
I think he did pretty well. A lot of people, when he started, the first game was bad. He lost 4-0 to United, and then there was ups and downs. He was on a good run of away win games, but he was struggling to win at home. So nobody knew where it's going to finish. But then in the end, you're in the final of the FA Cup. You're finished in the top four, which would sort of give the feel of a really good season, that you've had a really good first season, and that too a new manager. You've just started your managerial career, so I think he's had a good season. And then with the team, like the new people who have come in, I think it's going to be really good. So Werner, Ziyech, we've already spoken about them in the past podcast, and then Kai Havertz apparently has agreed personal terms is what is coming out, and then they are agreeing on a fee. I think Kepa sort of played his last game in a Chelsea shirt, because today Caballero was in goal. I think FA Cup final again, Caballero is gonna be between the sticks. And I think Kepa, if he leaves, they're gonna get a new goalkeeper. There are a couple of them. Recently, Jan Oblak from Atletico Madrid was also linked, but they are sort of asking for over 100 million. So if they go in for him, that's gonna be another record.
Chelsea has a record of creating a record of buying expensive goalkeepers.
So, either that, but I think a better option would be either Onana from Ajax. I think they've also looked at Dean Henderson from Manchester United, playing in Sheffield right now, but from United, probably trying to get him. I think those will be much cheaper options, and they have played in the Premier League, so that would be a really good thing. And then just one defender. There was a rumor about Declan Rice being linked, and he's although he's a defensive midfielder, but Lampard wants to sort of develop him into a centre back. So
no, but that kid has a really good long term.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing.
Really good long term.
And I think there are chances of Declan Rice coming in, because he's from the academy. He started from the Chelsea academy, then went to West Ham. So, and then he's really good friends with Abraham, Mason Mount. So that sort of they already have that connection because they play together. So I think next season would be much better, in my opinion, and I'm hoping so. There are new players coming in, but you never know. They're not proven in the Premier League, and we've seen really, really good players coming in, and then they just leave after one season not doing well. So,
but then we can just sit here and predict based on the news that we have. The new people are coming in, and I think they're proven really well also. So also, I don't think so. It's a good time for Man U to sell any keeper who's good. See the game today as well. there are a couple of chances solely created by his bad keeping. So that happened today as well. So I think Manu would be definitely looking into replacing him. That's there. But I think it's a very it's a very win-win situation for both Chelsea and Man U, just getting qualified. I think also looking at Spurs, Papa has done really well there. Probably something that keeps his job for next season.
But do you think he has a team that he could finish in the top 4 next season, or do you think they need some?
So they definitely need some players. That's for sure. If this is what happened, right? So if Dele Alli gets injured and Kane gets injured, then who and then Son goes back to his home country just for random reasons. This time he went because he had to go. But then what? Then who replaces them?
Exactly, there's nobody. There's just Lucas Moura, and he's again. I mean, he's had glimpses, but I don't think he's reliant to.
I think Lucas Moura is a very inconsistent player.
Yeah, and then they got Bergwijn in January, who again is a young player. He's developing. He's gonna take time to develop. So I think they're solely sort of reliant on Kane and Son for the goals. But I mean, in my opinion, I don't think he still has a team that could finish in the top 4 next season.
Yeah,
but you never know. Mourinho, he has done, like he has done things which people don't expect him to do.
Coming to a very competitive league where a team just got, just came to Premier League, Sheffield United is probably finishing like high in the table, so that shows how competitive the league is now. So that is there. So I hope, I just hope that the competition is healthy, and I still feel the only good things to take out from the season is that the season at least got over, regardlessly of the pandemic, and it probably became one of the most exciting seasons till the last game. And let's hope, especially for Man U and Chelsea, that this top 4 finish gets them good players in for the next season. Yeah, so with this, guys, we will finish our episode.
Like, share, subscribe if you like our content. Let us know what do you think. Let us know what you thought of the season, and if you have any thoughts about the next season that's coming up.